Jake the Film Guy. Guidestar is an amazingly powerful tool that somebody took me under their wing and said, hey, you need to learn Guidestar, or at least how to use it so that you can look up the Form 990s for the nonprofits that you may or may not be working with. And as video producers and budding micro-budget filmmakers, it would behoove us to also sign up, it's free, take a look at the Form 990s before we ever say, yes, I'll be glad to work with you. When it comes to nonprofit work, the first thing you need to do is create the login. The second thing you need to do is understand what a Form 990 does. It's something that Uncle Sam requires all nonprofits to file. Now, churches file differently. They are nonprofits, yes, but they have different expectations and reporting requirements. First of all, the information that they report to the IRS is not public to John Q. Public like me and you. No. But if I want to go and look at Uncle Bob's cause for cancer downtown, then I can find his Form 990 because Guidestar is an aggregator. It's not that everybody's responsible for reporting their financial figures on their Form 990 to Guidestar. No, they just compile this information because it is public. If you can't find the most recent Form 990 for Uncle Bob's cause, you could always walk in person and ask to see a copy of the most recent Form 990. I've never had to do this. Every bit of information I've ever wanted to find has been on the Guidestar.org site. Having said that, you could go in. I recommend that you use some tact. If you just bust in and say, hey, I want to see your Form 990, chances are you're not going to get off on the right foot, and you'll probably never do work for that nonprofit. If you are completely unfamiliar with financial reportings, statements, things that just make your head swim, don't worry about it. There are a couple of things you need to know. In the very first part, you will see what they did last year and what they did this year in terms of the bottom line. Take this slowly. It's not that complicated. You can see what their total revenue was and the amount of money that they sent elsewhere. Yes, a nonprofit should have, as a part of its charitable giving, some actual quantifiable amount that they are giving away to like-minded programs and causes. Take Compassion International, for example. They take about 2/3 of every dollar that they receive and actually turn into something meaningful, the programming for which they exist. It is not going towards overhead, staff salaries, and so on and so forth. No, it's actually going to impact the children in these places around the world like Colombia, formerly India, and so on and so forth, to provide them education, spiritual instruction and discipling, basic hygiene, some food, and for that matter, creating some presence in the community for which they serve, which there are hundreds of. They do this with 67 cents on every dollar that you give them. That's pretty darn good. If you really absolutely care about cleft palate research, then you should find a nonprofit that is all about cleft palate research. Look up their Form 990 and see what they do with their dollars. Do they actually just take in the money every year and create this big expensive dinner for people to throw more money at their organization and then pad their officers' wallets? That information is public, and you think that this is some kind of farce, but it actually happens. Now, this doesn't mean as a filmmaker you can't go help out a nonprofit that doesn't manage their money very well. But I think when it comes to doing your due diligence, if you see that they're not very good stewards of the dollars they get, you might want to give that a pause. Because let's think about that. If they're not the best stewards and managers of their money, it's not theirs anyways, right? Then you should think about whether you want to take your time and your talent to what they stand for. If a nonprofit asks you to volunteer your time, you need to run! Get out of here! If, however, you believe in their cause and you agree with them on what they are doing on their platform, then it's another story for you to go and actually say, hey, I'm a budding filmmaker. I'd love to go and tell one of your stories to help you further your mission here in Las Vegas or wherever your town is. Now, having said that, if they approach you and they want to pay you, this is where the meat and potatoes come into it. Take a look at Section 7. You'll see where their expenses go for their chief officers. See what kind of value they place on paying their own employees. After all, it is good to pay the laborer his wages. Who said that? If they're not paying their employees, if the top dog is not taking a paycheck this past year, they may be in financial woes and they probably can't afford to pay you very much. Peanuts, really. Then, after Section 7, you want to look at Section 9, Part 9, Line item 12, marketing. Let's face it, in the business world and in the nonprofit sector, a lot of video production falls under the banner of marketing. Now, It may also fall under the banner of communications, but when you think about it, both are really trying to achieve the same purpose, and that's to take a piece of content and put a megaphone to it so it gets out to the masses. Either way, you fall under line item 12. If they spent nothing on marketing last year, while that is in the rearview mirror, it's probably a good indicator of what they're going to spend on marketing this year, and that means what they're going to pay you. If they are an organization as big as Compassion, and we are micro-budget filmmakers, we need to be at the top of our game if we're going to be able to pitch these guys and go to work for them. If it's any other nonprofit organization, it's very likely they won't be able to afford your services. So, you need to, at that point, make the decision, do I really want to work for these guys? And if so, should I just volunteer my services for free? That's a call for you to make. But again, if they ask you to work for free, I highly recommend you don't do it. Think about college here in America. Think about your house, your car payments. Think about anything that you make a payment on. You value the things that you invest your money into. Where your heart is, there your treasure will be also. Having said that, I highly recommend you also consider giving a nonprofit a discount. After all, they are mission-oriented instead of profit-oriented. I recommend a 20% discount. I think that's fair. If it's a school, if it's a church, you can consider that much. If it is not one of those organizations and it's just Uncle Bob's run for fun, then you could do a 10%. Figure out what kind of system you want, be consistent, and stick with it. Be known for giving nonprofits a discount. Be known for giving churches or schools a 20% discount. Don't be flippant about it. One more thing worth mentioning here is that every nonprofit has to balance the books, no different than a business. And when you think about it, for those of us who live here in the US of A, there's gotta be some kind of leeway given to these nonprofits. After all, Uncle Sam fails to balance the books every year, and yet we go on living here. So if it's a nonprofit, again, where you care about what they are for and you agree with what they are doing, then you might want to give them a little bit of leeway. If you're looking at that part one, it's like, oh man, these guys can't balance the budget. Well, look at yourself in the mirror. Can you really balance the budget every year? That's it for today, folks. As always, you can go to the blog and you can check out this post if you want a detailed walkthrough of how to actually decipher all of the financial jargon on Guidestar. Take a look here at this link. If you need help pricing your services, this is where I will give you the customary pitch. There is a tool at the website, Microbudgeter.com, where you can take your client's wishes, whether it's a 2-minute video with music and a voiceover and rotoscoping, or a 30-second nonprofit ad that's going to be served to 50,000 people, plug all that information in and get an exact quote right down to the penny that you can give your client over the phone and then export a PDF invoice for them. It is a very detailed, exhaustive tool. You are certainly welcome to contact the office if you need more information. There's a simple walkthrough as well, and I stand by this tool so much that you can try it out for 14 days, and if you hate it, we won't twist your arm. Until then, my fellow micro-budget filmmakers, keep creating with the king. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will be with you again shortly. Actually.